Lions, Jags. Yikes. 52-6. Detroit takes the win. I think everybody thought they were going to take the win. 13.5 line going into the game. It's funny, a buddy of mine, we're in a little betting pool, and he actually, I think he teased it up to like 15.5 for the Lions. He's like, I'm not afraid. He's like, the Jags are not going to stand a chance against them. And he texted our group afterwards, and he's like, should have teased it to 45. Should have spotted the Jags 45 in this game. Just, man, incredible performance by the Detroit Lions. Another one that just solidifies that they are on a potential Super Bowl path. They are one of the best teams in the NFL. It's a joy to watch once again, unless you're a Jags fan. Unless you want changes. And so, in that case, if you are a Jags fan, let's look at the top 5 graded players for the Detroit Lions. Wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown with a 92.4 in this game. Guard Kevin Zeitler at 90.6. Safety Kirby Joseph, just an incredible year from all the safeties in Detroit, but Kirby Joseph in particular. 89.9. Center Frank Ragnow an 83.5. Linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez an 80.9. Jared Goff in this one, an elite 93.5 in this game. On Jacksonville's side of things, offensive tackle Anton Harrison a 78.0. Offensive tackle Walker Little a 77.9. Wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. 75.3. Edge rusher Trayvon Walker 72.8. And then a number 5 to round things out, tight end Evan Ingram with a 72.0. Mac Jones in this game still playing for the injured Trevor Lawrence, a 53.0. Stat that told the story here, Dalton.
I mean, there's many of them, but I think now 52-6 is extreme. But I think it's kind of like what you talked about going into it, how this is clearly one of, if not the best team in football, right? Against a team that is just massively struggling, and they have all year now 2-9. And, you know, Lions came into this game as our highest graded team overall. Jags came in 19th. Now they're 23rd, and they're playing without Trevor Lawrence. And again, 23rd may not even do it justice. Kind of leaning towards the, a couple of dominant efforts and 2 wins. But this was just a beating. I mean, there's no other. We could pull every number we want. I think interesting stat. I think I have to credit CBS for showing this one. The Lions are the first team in the regular season to score a touchdown on their first 7 drives since that 07 Patriots team. That's how they're rolling on offense.
Wasn't their drive chart like 7 touchdowns to start the game,
a field goal, and then I think they kneel
down?
Yeah,
right. They scored on every possession other than the kneel down.
It was just, by any number we can pull out right now, one of the best offensive performances really like in the history of the game, especially the team. They set their franchise total yardage record. Is that right?
I didn't see that, but
I think they did. It was 600.
If you said that with a little more confidence, I'd be like, oh, yeah, of course.
640. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's about making them believe it. It's not about, we're just Lions here. We just make you believe it. But no, I mean, this was maybe the best offensive performance you're going to see from any team all year.
Yeah.
There's just no other way about it.
I agree. I mean, we could be pretty quick with this one. Jags defense, that's the stat that told the story. 28.7 points per game. I know we're like, everybody wants to talk about the offensive struggles, all that kinds of stuff. This is a bad defense. This is a really bad defense. 28.7 points per game allowed. That's 30th in the NFL. The only 2 teams that are worse are the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. That's it. They're 32nd in EPA per play allowed this season. This is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So it is a total organizational failure. The roster is not constructed the way that it needs to be. The execution is not there. There is clearly not a synergy between the front office and the coaching staff, and certainly you throw the players into that mix. I mean, it feels like the players don't really believe in the coaching staff that is there. I don't know how much the coaching staff believes in the people that are bringing the players in. It just feels like it's a total organizational failure at this point for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's how you get to a score like 52-6. I mean, this is not a by accident type of a thing, and I know they don't have Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence don't play defense. If you want to say that, okay, well, the Jags scored 20, they'd still get beat by 30 in this game. And I think that's a major point of this, is it's not like, well, if Trevor came back and, if the offensive line were a little bit better and if they had like another good receiving weapon, it's like, again, you could say all you want there. This is a bad football team.
That's where I was at the end of last year. I was like, okay, if they block some people, they're good. They started 8-3, but now, right. And I'm real quick. I'm just gonna get on their defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen for a minute. I have all year, and it's still the case. I don't know why the Jags run more man coverage than any team in the league. And in this game,
unless they can't fit, unless they're trying to run zone in practice and they can't get the chemistry down, because zone coverage is a big chemistry thing, right? You got to have faith in the guy next to you. He's got to be in the right spot. He's got to drop a certain way. He's got to be able to pass off routes. I mean, they might be bad at it in practice.
That might be the case. And
it's easier to just play cat coverage, right?
Well, usually teams that are bad, eventually they get to a point where you go, okay, we're just going to sit in quarters. Don't let anything over your head.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And they ran 54% cover one in this game.
Not good. No, I wouldn't advise that.
Who do you have that can match up with St. Brown and Jamison and Sam Laporta didn't even play, and Jahmyr Gibbs and every other weapon and everything? The Lions are out here messing around, running hook and ladders just in the middle of the field for the fun of it. I mean, I that's the one thing about this defense I don't understand at all, is why they lead the league in man coverage. I don't get it. They're 29th in the league in man coverage grade. They were 29th in the league in man coverage grade last year, but they didn't run hardly any man coverage last year, which made sense. I just don't week in and week, unless you're right, unless it's just they have no idea how to run zone defense.
Right. It's hard to come up with a reason why they wouldn't do that.
I have no idea.
But it feels like just being super off in quarters would be better than what we saw yesterday.
I mean, that's honestly, even though they don't have a boatload of talent, they have obviously better safeties. But like that's mostly what the Chargers do. If nothing else, they don't give up home runs.
Did Ben Johnson? No, he wouldn't have interviewed for the Jacksonville job at any point over the last 2 years, right?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so,
no.
Right?
Because Peterson's been there 3 years.
Yeah, they would have hired Peterson before. So my most impressive, hell of a job interview for Ben Johnson. Hell of a job interview. Because this one's going to become open, and you're going to have a franchise quarterback there in Trevor Lawrence, and ownership in Jacksonville is going to throw you the biggest bag possible that they can throw you. And that's what they're going to boast in this game. Look at these numbers, dude. I know we talked about how historic the game was. 60% on third down, 100% on fourth down, 100% in the red zone, 100% in goal-to-go situations. I mean, it cannot look better. It truly cannot look better. An unbelievable live job interview for Ben Johnson. And again, I think that we've all been a little bit annoyed, right? Because when offensive or defensive coordinators become hot head coaching candidates, we want them to take these jobs. We want to see what they're going to be like. You had your success in offensive coordinator, and I'm going to be honest, there are a lot of times it feels like when an offensive coordinator might have a really good year, and then something changes. Obviously, you lose some players in free agency, some guys retire, some guys get older, it trades. Maybe the draft class isn't exactly what you needed to be, whatever, and you just don't have that same success. There's no guarantee that you have that same exact success again. Ben Johnson now, this will be the third offseason in a row where he has been good enough to garner head coach interviews or even a job whatsoever. And the last 2 years, he has said no basically as a preferred head coaching candidate. And I think that people out there, myself maybe a little bit, I don't know if I'm like totally I don't have any animosity towards it, but it's like, man, I want to see you as a head coach. I think a lot of people look at him in the situation and go, are you sure you don't want to take a head coach job? Because a lot of these don't come around very often. You could be a head coach candidate now, but all it takes is one bad year for you as a coordinator, and all of a sudden the league might drop you like a rock. You might not get those head coach interviews again. So I think people have sort of talked about that with Ben Johnson. The bag could not be heavier for this guy. I mean, he's in a situation where he might have the Dallas Cowboys and the Jacksonville Jaguars basically saying, we're going to blank check.
Well, and
write down whatever number you want.
And the Raiders and the New York Jets and the New Orleans Saints.
Right.
Well,
right.
But here's the thing.
It's going to be like 5 teams with a blank check for him.
Here's what I'll say to that.
How do you one up a blank check?
I actually respect the hell out of his process.
Well, obviously it has worked out very well for him.
What has been floated around is that Ben Johnson is being selective, and he wants to make sure if he does it, he goes to the right situation. Because how many times have we seen guys become head coaches and they just take the first job that jumps at them,
100%,
and then it's still kind of a mess?
I don't mean to discredit that. I actually do have a lot of respect for him for saying we are building a Super Bowl contender.
Even this
like Walt is saying in the chat, and I agree with him. Like, go get a ring.
This
like,
past
you got a chance to win a ring.
He said that himself. He goes, I could win a Super Bowl ring first with the Lions.
Right.
That would be the greatest thing ever, wouldn't it?
And I think he wants to. And if the Lions win a Super Bowl this year, I think he's absolutely going to leave because that's his one ring, right? I guess he could stay and defend the title, but I think that would be him saying, okay, I've won a Super Bowl in this league. Now let me go do it as a head coach. Because again, I mean, if Ben Johnson takes a head coaching job in the NFL this year, he will be the highest paid coach in the NFL.
Yeah, probably.
You have 5 franchises that are basically so desperate on the offensive side of the football, they're going to pay you whatever you want, especially if they win a Super Bowl in Detroit this year with what they are doing. He will be the highest paid coach in the NFL, I think.
Yeah, I could see that.
So,
I forget what Jim Harbaugh is making, something crazy too. But
and I'm not saying that to say that like,
oh no, he'll
taking anything away from Jim Harbaugh.
He'll have earned it.
It's just capitalism. It's compounding capitalism.
It's going to be a bidding war. Every team is going. Who's your preferred? It's going to be Ben Johnson. Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you what, they're going to have the same thing with Aaron Glenn too. He might not make what Johnson makes. But
yeah, I mean,
his
Aaron
defense,
great year.
Yeah,
great year.
Absolutely. Real quick, just bouncing off that, most impressive, Jared Goff, way to bounce back from 5 interceptions. I mean, it's just a dominant performance. 412 yards, 4 touchdowns, 91.8 passing grade, and you talk about putting on a clinic of just where the football is supposed to go in your offense. Jared Goff might be adding a few dollars trying to keep Johnson as the OC because, I mean, these two guys together, it's just been incredible. He's got a mastery of this offense now in his 3rd year in it, and, I mean, you could not bounce back any better than that from the way he played last week than that because everyone after the Houston game was, well, can they win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff? And then Goff went and just proved us all wrong again, and maybe he can just do it. Maybe they're just the best team in football.
92.6% adjusted completion percentage.
That's fair.
Couldn't do that in pregame warm-up.
Oh, no. I'd throw my arm out before I hit 92%. Absolutely.
Do you not get the reference?
No.
It's all right.
Well, I just
explain to you.
I live in a cave.
It's all right.
You know how it is.
It's all right. It's a movie. Don't worry about it.
Everyone in the chat knows it, I'm sure.
It's not a movie. Yeah, everybody in the chat probably does know it. So you will see it if you're looking at the chat at all. My most disappointing is just the Doug Peterson era. I was excited about this one. Really was. And again, like I said at the top of the segment, clean house. It's time. I mean, you gotta be able to clean house in this one. The vibes are terrible in Jacksonville, and I don't know how they get better if you don't clean house. Really don't. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video, and if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.